how do we set boundaries and how do we avoid being manipulated and how do we stop being used or taken advantage of? You so much. Welcome onto Arise Woman. My name is Gift Nakayinga, and like every Friday we're here with a team of the beautiful ladies, and we make it a point to talk about things, maybe the day-to-day things that we think are not important, yet they are important, or those that we think that are important and yet we do not get the opportunity to address them. So tonight on the Arise Woman, we're going to discuss a very interesting topic of discussion, and that is about setting boundaries. How do you make it a point that you are not manipulated, and how do you make it a point that you're not being used or taken advantage of? Allow me welcome the beautiful ladies. I'm thinking, where should I start from? This time round I should start from no. I'm starting with a beautiful Queen Mercy. So Mercy,
yes,
you know, it's a Friday, it's August, and I feel like the year is really what is that one thing you feel like before this month of August ends, you have to have it in your hands?
Oh, celebrating my daughter's birthday. Yes, it's this month. So
Genesis.
Celebrating my daughter's birthday is something, I have to make sure by the end of August I have really achieved.
I know the husband may be watching, so what is that beautiful message you would want to pass on, and you feel like if your daughter is looking at you right now, she will feel so proud of you?
Well, I want to make your birthday memorable. I want you to enjoy your year of 2 because for me it's a milestone.
Aww.
Yes.
I want to hug you right now.
Oh, really?
Yes, don't start getting emotional. You want to hug her right now?
If I was this close, I was going to just hug her right now.
Really?
But I'll hug you after here.
I know. So I think for Win and Genesis, you just say hello to us. Just
hello.
Okay.
Limited. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Genesis.
Hi.
You look amazing. When you are kunyanjulira kati tukyusiza when nyanjulira Genesis.
I'm looking for the words to describe.
Find the words. Take your time.
Look at her. She's a goddess.
I knew when I was choosing to wear this dress, like I'm going to impress someone today.
And that was Win or someone
Why?
else.
No, it was just Winnie. I knew it, that when Winnie looks at me this evening, she's going to be like,
Why is it the
let's
color?
have that conversation.
Anyway, ladies, tonight we're going to be discussing setting boundaries, and I feel like we do not have much time here, but we need to bring out everything about setting boundaries. So if you're out there and you would want to be a part of this amazing discussion, our number is going to be over the screen, and that is 0786050762. You can call us or you can send our WhatsApp on that number and let us know what you think about setting boundaries. And if you are watching us online, that is YouTube and Facebook. Bethan TV Uganda is the only page. Make sure you like and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell that is on YouTube. So here we go. To each one of us that has ever lived in a single room, boba wali obaddeko mu single room, bano bendi nabo tebagibeerangamu, naye bwoba oli eyo nga waliko mu single room, nga obuliri bwobuli wali, ekikopo kiri wali, flaska, in other words buli ekintu kyokirabako, buli woza okukola ekidomola kyo buli kimu weekiri, wokyaza abagenyi bwa tolina control. There is no privacy, there is no boundaries of autolinyawo, autokwatawo, autogendawo, autotula ku buliri bwange.
Banga buyinza okuba yentebe munna.
Not of course. Ate naterawo mukeeka wali we wagonda. So, do you get the feeling?
Yes.
Where everyone has access to every little detail in your house. Then, netugenda ku bantu abatali mu single room. abamu bakisusa n'atuuka n'agamba nti tulinawo toilet y'abagenyi n'ey'ab'omunju ne bazaawula ne tugamba tulinawo ebisenge ne tulinawo n'ekyabagenyi. That means tojja nagenda na muky'abaana waliwo ekyabagenyi. Ne bagamba tulinawo living room, this one can accommodate. Ne bagamba tulinawo reading room, eno yo oba nyini wa munju yagigendamu n'asoma mase tojja kukyalwa mumpe ebitabo ebyo ngende eri nsome. Waliwo abagamba nti nina ne prayer room yange eyo yo. Do you see the kinds of boundaries? Yes. So tonight we want to really understand why it is important to set those kinds of boundaries, and how do you get to know that they are being respected or not respected. Back to the Bible in Genesis chapter 1, when God was creating this entire world and the heavens, God had boundaries. N'ayawula amazzi, n'ayawula buli kimu n'akyawula n'akiteeka mu kifo kyakyo n'agamba gano amazzi gakome wano, kino kikome wano. And I was thinking, and I'm like, why would he go an extra mile of ogamba gano amazzi gano agewansi ennyo ate tegeegatta n'agewaggulu. N'atonda Adamu n'amugamba buli kimu kikuwadde naye kino tojja. Do you understand this? So to you the ladies, what do you think about boundaries and what are they?
Thank you so much, Gift. To me, I think boundaries are like limits that define a person. It's more like principles.
Okay.
Setting principles, knowing where to stop and where others should stop.
Where you should stop, you as a person?
Yes. What you can do, what you can't do, and where others should also stop when anything concerning you. To me, I feel like that's a boundary. Like setting boundaries is more like setting principles that define you. Tinze Winnie bw'obanga omanyi Winnie kino ky'ommanyiiko, kino sikikola, kino nkikola. Ate bw'oba oyingira mu bulamu bwange yo omanyaako up to a certain level. Not everything, because knowing someone like all of them, it depends on the oneness. I can choose to let all of you get to know everything about me, but I can also choose to set boundaries, and you will know what I want you to know about me. Ate mu bulungi, not like nepanka neulira nkyogera nnyo, but my character also speaks. So it is like a limit that defines you, you know, you who you are, like a principle. Basically, I call it a principle where people get to know kati when it gets to Gift, this is where we stop. Like you said, someone visits in a room, let's say they come to your room esobola okubeera emu naye nga when you come in my house, I'm like, please don't sit on the bed, you can have a mat. Ogenda kukola ki? Era ogamba, let me sit on your bed.
Kamanyiro.
You're crossing the boundaries. That's how I understand it.
Masi.
Wow. Tuyanza nnyo Winnie. Tuyanzege. Well, okay. Yeah, setting boundaries is more like guidelines to me. Guidelines to my life. Things that I think I can follow in every footstep that I take in life. So these boundaries can be more like at home, with my kid, in my house, at my workplace. These are things that I make sure that, like when he said, you don't go beyond like tuina wetukoma. Okay, so there is much that I would want people to access, and there is that I wouldn't want people to access. So these are more like guidelines that govern my life or anyone's life. Yes, the do's and the don'ts in your life. Like you have a limit to what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what you believe in, what you don't believe in, you know. And you shouldn't be compromised at any cost, you know. So that is more like you're setting your boundaries. Like no matter what, I may be having friends who drink, but I may spend time with them, I may it happen with them, but I'm not going to do it. It's a boundary that must senior. So even if I'm with Genesis and Gift and Winnie and they are drinking, for me my boundary is one, I don't drink. So I can hang with them, but I've set that boundary for myself.
Thank you so much. I think we live in a society that tries to tell us that it's okay to be so much accommodating and selfless. But I feel like it's very important and crucial for us to be able to set healthy boundaries. Well, we have those that are unhealthy and those that are healthy. So Genesis, the difference between those that are healthy and those that are not healthy, omuntu asobola kukyawula ati addirwa amanya n'agamba nti kati eno boundary, it's being healthy or it's not being healthy.
I think I'll go back to what boundaries are exactly. Before we question the healthy and the unhealthy, I would go back to how I define the boundary itself. Boundary is me creating an identity I dwell in. Of the decisions I make, on the visions that I have, that I said this is Genesis and this is the decision I made, it should be able to not compromise with my integrity, compromise with my morals, because that is the Genesis I want to be identified as. So to me, boundary is an identity I decide to dwell in. I don't create it to limit Winnie or Mercy and Gift. I create that boundary to create a circumference of where I, Genesis, dwell. So now, when it comes to unhealthy and healthy, it's now going to go back to the Gift and Mercy and Winnie. Now for you as the three can define whether I've created healthy or unhealthy boundaries, but basing on the identity I have decided to dwell in, you will call it unhealthy and I will call it what? Healthy, because that is the decision I have taken as Genesis.
Thank you so much. And I feel now we want to more understand that how can we even be self-aware of these boundaries? Because Winnie mentioned, and then she was like, they're like principles. You've mentioned like it's kind of an identity that you create for yourself. I feel like where do we base to create these kinds of identities or the principles? Bitibye tusinzirirako.
Wetusinzirira nga wengambye oyagala ki? Okay, we create boundaries basing on where we want to go, basing on who we want to be, what we want to identify as. So if I, Genesis, wake up and say, I'm looking at myself being a well-positioned businesswoman, I'm looking at myself getting probably married to Shafiq at one point. It's not happening, it hasn't happened, but I am creating an identity that is going to allow me to pursue what it is that I desire to pursue. So what was the question again?
And I think like kind of the things that influence the boundaries that we set.
As I create these boundaries of this is the identity I want, I mean, okay, so I need to have integrity for me to be able to achieve that goal of me being a well-positioned business lady. I need to make sure that as I do health morning in the morning, as I go to Bethany in the morning, I need to make sure that my brain is at its best. That means as I create boundaries, I will not entertain Shafiq being late because he will be interfering with a vision I have set for myself. I don't know if you're together.
Yeah.
So now we define them and we create these. I want to advocate for myself. I want to be honest. I want to make better friends. I want to be in those areas. Depending on what we are looking at, we now weigh on the kind of boundaries that we would want to set. Yeah.
So I think today we would really want to concentrate on the boundaries in relationships, but then we can break down the different boundaries that people have at any one point in life. And Mercy, what are some of the boundaries that we should set in life besides in relationships?
We have like I think Personal boundaries are, I think, are the biggest, you know, because it is you who is doing this, you know. It's not like a group, it is something personal. So personal boundaries are kind of boundaries that I look at. So here they will help you relate with people around you, okay, and know actually what you want. So personal boundaries are what I would consider as one of the boundaries. Of course, there are very many others, like, you know, sexual boundaries, you know, parenting boundaries, work boundaries. There are all those kinds of boundaries.
Yeah, family.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, family boundaries. Yeah, but personally, I think I would focus more on, I think, personal and relationship. Yes, because I think to me they matter more, personal and, you know, relationship.
Thank you so much. If you mentioned in personal and then relationships, and now in relationships, omutayinza okulowooza tuli kubagala naboka. But this is way beyond that. We've had challenges with friends. Yeah. One time I was telling a colleague and I was telling them, you know what? I think that way we choose lovers, it should be the same way we choose friends. Because if you're getting a boyfriend or any person that you love, you will tell them, this is me, this is what I would love, this is what I would not love. But for friends, I think we think it's automatic that this person knows what you want and what you do not want. So how do we get to understand, especially in friendships, because we've had friends that feel so entitled to everything about Winnie. Nti when oli mukwano gwange, how come kino sikimanyi, kino tonzikiriza, kikola naawe, kino, you know, those kinds of things. So how do we get to deal with these kinds of situations? Now we're concentrating on friendships and setting boundaries.
Friendships. Now, the first thing would be when you feel uncomfortable or disrespected, because looking at different types, you asked of which kind of boundaries. We have different, like mental boundaries, emotional, physical, and material boundaries. Now, I'll focus on material boundaries, especially in a relationship or family or friendship. Let me give an example. So okuba ne mukwano gwo n'omuwola ssente n'akwewolako mu bulungi, and then you lend them the money, and then they'll tell you whether it is a boyfriend or family member. You know, this is a situation where otya n'okubanja omuntu because they are your friend, or maybe it's a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, or your sister, naye nga teyakusaba busabi ssente, yagamba mpola. Do you get the point? Kati n'otuuka ekiseera ng'omuntu takusasula naye ng'ate ssente zo zeetaaga. Kakati n'atuuka time ate ng'ayagala okudda yeewule. You get the point? Kyokka nga ziri tannazisasula. So now, here you feel really uncomfortable doing this again, but at the same time you feel disrespected. I mean, omuntu ono mubanja tannaba kunsasula, they have not even explained why they haven't paid or whatever reason, and you want more money. Okay,
check it.
So you need to check that. Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Genesis. Am I going to be a center? You know, yes. I mean, to be a center, you're really visible in your dollar, but still would want at the end of the day to be able to have health relationships or friendships, and also having people respect the kinds of boundaries we've set. Yeah, because there is a point that you would want to respect, also create, but also you would want to break the very exact boundaries that you set. That initially you said when you want to work on. Then maybe 5 years down the road, you're like, now I think I can have her in my space. She can go beyond this particular point. So I feel like I would want to break this kind of boundary I'd created to promote.
Yeah, which is really...
Yeah, there is this thing that it's really okay to fire and hire and everything.
It is okay. I think when it comes to friendship, just like any kind of relationship, as you get into it, you set clear boundaries. Now, I personally, people say when you meet someone, you tell them, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. Well, that can apply with other people. Personally, how I create my boundaries, I express them. Sizoogera ogenda zifiiringa zijja kuwunyira nti ziizino weeziri. And you will notice it, you will see it, and because I'm respecting the ones that you have put up, it will be easier for you. When we set these boundaries, it is very important for us to be intentional and be clear that umanyi wali okusettinga boundaries nga naye nga byosettinga tobitegeera.
Yeah, true.
So what are you setting? What are you protecting in the first place?
You do not know exactly.
You don't know what you're protecting. So what boundaries are you setting with something you don't even know you're protecting? So as I move into Gift's life, I'm looking at the boundaries she has set. And I've noticed them, and I know she will notice mine. And by me respecting the boundaries that Gift has set, it is me intentionally speaking to Gift that Gift, as I respect yours,
You respect
mine. That relationship, from day one, it is healthy. That is how now the creation of boundaries. Now, as we go forward, just like any other relationship ahead, I might feel like now I've known Gift to a point that I am comfortable with her moving past this particular boundary. We set the boundaries depending on what we want. We break them, make them, break again, make them, depending on what we desire.
So you want to say it doesn't stop?
It doesn't stop. It is like growth, you know? Emyaka gino gyendiko, by the time I am 34,
a lot would have changed.
A lot will have changed about me.
True.
That is why people even renew vows.
A lot would have really,
when
really
I marry
changed.
Shafiq right now, 10 years down the road, as we redo our vows, Shafiq will be getting married to a different Genesis. Lulinga nkuwa flexible kaseera zenna ndi awo mba nseka kati abaana bazze. Responsibilities weziri. Ntera okoowa mukko. Probably we're having sex more regularly. It is now stopping. We have grown. Even you, more responsibilities in our father. Responsibilities zeyongedde. Now boundaries zigenda kola ki? Zigenda chuka. So we relearn, relearn, put people into our boundary classes again. Let me say that you put people into your boundary classes over and over again.
But I feel like in our society where we think ebintu biyina okwekola boyogera ku bintu bino ebya boundaries ngenda kuwulira eri abakubi baffe bo kye balowooza, but some people think mulesa ebintu by'abazungu mu bitutaddeko. Okitegeera. That's when ojja kusanga mu byalo ebimu up to now nga wooba otambula oli kimukakatako wabasanga muli okukyama n'alya n'agenda. Oba mwamugambye oba tebwamugambye. Ne wano mu Kampala it's hard okusanga neighbor nga ali and then you just come in and eat. But that means tebakirina ekyo as a boundary of you don't just walk in. Twakina ngedda you can just I don't know if I can say it, but let's first get into a break. As we get into a break, I want you to go onto our social media platforms and let us know how is it important for you or to even your friends or your family setting boundaries, and how do you make it a point that any of your friends or anyone you are with in a relationship or friendship, they are not manipulating you or taking advantage of you? Do you notice the signs? If you do, what are some of the signs that you can get to notice when your boundaries are being crossed? We're getting into a break. It is A Rise Woman. We're coming back.
Bethany TV for health. The Higher Life, the era of the world revolution, with Apostle Dr. David Kunawa and Pastor Ritabella Kunawa of Rivers of Life Assembly International, Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Streaming every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. East African Standard Time, with the incorruptible, incomparable, and revolutionizing, life-transforming Word of God. Only on Bethany TV for health. This is the Health Minute on Bethany TV.
High blood pressure, also known as hypertension, is a common and serious health condition that can lead to a range of negative health outcomes. Here are some of the dangers of high blood pressure.
And one of the dangers is cardiovascular disease. And this comes as a result of damage to the blood vessels and damage to the heart muscle also.
It can even lead to kidney failure, it can lead to renal failure, it can lead to shock.
We also have other issues like vision problems, and these come as a result of also reduced blood flow or damage to the arteries that supply the eyes, and we can end up getting blindness, especially if there is rupture of these arteries that supply the retina.
It is important to monitor blood pressure regularly and take steps to manage high blood pressure if it is diagnosed. This can include lifestyle changes, and in some cases, medication may be necessary to manage high blood pressure. By managing high blood pressure, individuals can reduce their risk of developing serious health complications.
Better healthcare for a better tomorrow. That was the Health Minute. Bethany TV for health.
How do you get to understand that you've not set any boundaries for yourself, or you've not respected the other person's boundaries that they have set? But also we've seen many women that have set boundaries and men have taken advantage of them. Women don't usually take advantage of the boundaries, but men, you know, I was watching the Sunset Lounge, and some caller called, and then he was like, women have to respect the boundaries. Reasons being, abereko ne wakoma tasuka, and then men, for them, they would not want to kubako ne webakoma. Anyway, if you're watching us, you can call us on 0786050762 to let us know what you think on setting boundaries in relationships in general, not for lovers only, but also in friendships and any other relationship you can think of. So we want to understand, at one point Genesis mentioned, and then she was like, for her, she'll make her boundaries known. She will not talk about them, but you'll have to note them. But then there are people that would want to Genesis but people would want to verbally state their boundaries, but so let's see, is it good to have that open kind of communication or conversation about boundaries, or maybe you can go silent and you figure it out there?
Yes, we need. No, I think it is a good thing to really communicate, because not only in relationships, even at your place of work. But I also like the idea Genesis has. I actually usually use that kind of, I don't know, method. I love so much to be respected. But for me to achieve that, I always respect everyone. So if I've not treated you in a certain way, I do not expect you to treat me or in a certain way. So sometimes it is good to show that. You can tell someone, hey, don't do this to me, without saying a thing, you know. But again, it is good to talk about this, especially in friendship and in a relationship.
That's very true.
No tula ne mwogera ku bintu nti manyi kino ne kino ne kino. Like I said in the start, that setting boundaries is more like setting life principles. Like, if you're my friend Genesis and you know me, ng'omanyi nakubulira boundaries zange, how I set my boundaries. At the end of the day, ng'okimanyi ngono bwe yagambye nti Winnie tanywa mwenge, sikusuubira ate kuntwala wantu ate nonkakagunyo oba nonjiiramu mu glass. You need to try this. No. It is more like a principle, like she said. It is something that defines you. Kati at the end of the day, kirungi abantu abo abakuliraanye oba abantu bo having a relationship nabo, whether it is a friendship or relationship, like
To communicate.
it's just to
about
communicate this kino sikyagala, kino kikola bwenti, kino this is how I do this, so that someone gets to know. Everybody needs to have life principles. Nga omuntu wayogera ku linnya Genesis, nga you just define Genesis.
Everyone can actually tell.
When Genesis comes, someone can look at Genesis and define her. Sometimes setting boundaries does not actually apply to the people who are so close to us. Even when you go to the public.
Yes.
Omuntu asobola
You
okuva
move
eri
with the very
nakukola
same
ekintu.
boundaries.
Exactly. You move along with them everywhere you go. So, but it is very important to communicate to the people around you, the people you live with, the people you associate with, to know the do's and don'ts, like she said. Set it and discuss it. So at the end of the day, wemubaawo n'emu oli ja crossings oba ja, you know, omugamba nakugamba nti kino sikyagala oba kino sikikola. You get the point. So it is very important, yes, to talk about it.
Thank you so much. At one time, I think last week, was having a conversation with someone. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Jebaleko.
Kale nyabo nawe jebaleko.
Hello.
Kale nyabo kendeeza ku ddoboozi lya TV tusobole okuwulira.
Nagijeeko.
Amanya go nawe gy'osinzidde.
Bampita Maureen okuva Salama.
Yes, Maureen. Salama nungi. Okay, twogera ku setting boundaries. Kiki ky'ozoogerako?
Naye baaba abasajja bazikozesa nga gundi bafuna chance. Kati olaba owange.
Ye nyawo.
Binange biri funny. Yanga omuntu akugamba kati kangambe hariwo abantu abatakkiririza mu gundi baziyita zino kati olabe okukola enviiri hariwo abantu abamu nga zibayisa bubi ng'omusajja zimuyisa bubi
ng'okola enviiri nga ye takyagala
nga takyagala kati bw'ogamba koziveeko ate n'akikozesa ng'omukisa n'ayagala osiiwuukire ddala okitegeera
ye nyabo
ogenda teekamu ka spray n'agamba ako kampunyira bw'oba ogenda okufuluma owange okitegeera
ye nyabo
naye bingi naye nkubuuzeeko
ye nyabo
omusajja bw'akugamba wama ngu tayagala akolabe ne ssente ate ng'okola kiba kitegeeza ati
okay waliwo ngambye oyo aba aliko ekyamu naye njagala wano nga bwe tuli wano masene wini ebyo bibagenda okunyamba bakiddemu mu ddakiika emu nyamba oddemu omukyale oyo ate kyekyembiri kinsuseeko naye kyakasente okola naye tayagala akulabe ne ssente.
Like we said, ebintu bino ebisinga bikosa naddala abakyala nga tetwabyogerako. You just started your thing kati oli na taking advantage of everything. Ate ekintu ekyabakyala they are suffering that in relationship, in marriage. Why? Because they did not talk about it. Kakati yeekanga nga omusajja amufuga, but it's also yes, naye era tujja kwogerako actually why women suffer that. Yes, I think we shall talk about it since you gave me 1 minute. It is because she did not talk about it, they did not discuss it. Kakati ate ekyo nakyo abalala abakisuffering, it is low self-esteem or wetya, because the moment you ask me for my money I'll be like, this is my money, I worked for it. Obadde oyagala zaaki? You get kubanga ne wemba nzikola, yes, I'm supposed to be also helpful, but I help up to what I want. Like no kumanya nti kumusala gwange nfuna $1,500,000, $3 zange nzikozesa byange, ebbiri I contribute ku byawaka. So sikungamba nti kati okoze $1,500,000 zireete wano.
Manipulation actually.
Manipulation.
So my question is, omukyala okuyambibwa, if you're saying that she had to talk about it back then, can she still talk about it now?
Yes. She can actually talk about it now. because like we said boundaries, it is a process. It is today, it's tomorrow. Every day evolves a boundary. Okay, so fine. In the beginning, you didn't talk about the financial boundary between you and your partner. You know, we always say like a man has to provide for his family. Okay, as a wife, my duty is to support my husband. Okay, people keep on saying it. My money is my money. My husband's money is our money, and that is it's his duty. He's my husband. He has taken me out of my mom's home because agenda kunda there. So set that boundary. Even if it's now, you can set that boundary. Omugambi nti mukwano. Sente ezange wano mukuma. Sigenda kuwola sente zange. You understand?
Aina statement jakoze naga my money is my money, but his money is our money. Zecho njagala chikyusaamu. Esente zo obezize mwenna zammwe mwembi. At the end of the day kyetusinga okwagala nti sente ze sigwa ino controlling bwe zino tambula. Now
okay, let's get this caller. Hello.
Bondo mbukyalo nga bwagambye.
Yenyabo.
Tukola babiri tukola mu business emu. Takuwa musala kati sente zammwe mwenna wamu. Sente zaffe ffenna naye ate ekizibu ekiriwo bw'oyogerako katugabe bwe watugula poloti biki ate erinnya habeerawo erike lyokka.
That's total manipulation.
That's something to talk about.
Okay, I think we shall have that's a different conversation. But like we said, for starters, I think they can sit down and have this thing on table and talk about this. But also the thing that she said that tamukiriza kola mviri tamukiriza yazisala or something like that. Because someone maybe would want to belittle you, to make you that you can't amount to anything anymore.
You know that gift, what I think is, what happens with us women is, that is why I said at first that we're about creating a boundaries, is making a sure nga nawe mwenyini boundaries zoto kiriza kola chi kuzikrosinga. Because what happens is we women let ourselves cross these boundaries. Why? We prefer attention from half a man than no attention at all. Let me re-say that again. We decide to settle for attention from half a man than actually not having anything at all. Why? We have no self-value for ourselves. We don't put boundaries in our lives. Even when we put them, we cross the same boundaries that we have put on ourselves. What about the others that are looking at you? If you're letting yourself cross over them over and over again, I don't want to do this. How do you expect them to respect the boundaries that you have set? Even you yourself, you're not respecting them.
But also, this is the thing. I think we've mastered the art of wanting to be comfortable by doing what exactly other people want us to do.
We want to be people pleasers. You
That's
understand?
the problem.
Because ideally, by the time you tell me to cut off my hair and I go ahead and cut it off, you're literally making me please
becoming
you.
a submissive wife.
You're making me please.
No,
that wouldn't be a problem.
Let me tell you, that has not to mix these things.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, it all comes at your esteem. So when a lady is suffering from low self-esteem, they will do everything they tell them. They do not have a choice to stand up and say, I do not want this or I cannot do this. So at the end of the day, banakugamba leta sente, salako enviri, yambala biwanvu, for everything you're yes. So even when a man does something wrong, you're going to be the one to apologize. Munange ensonyiwa, tata gundi ndabika chena, wachikoze kuwayenze kuba nakunyiziza.
Okay, let me get this caller.
Aiming at pleasing.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are your names and where are you calling us from?
This is Michael calling from Nansana.
Yes, Michael from Nansana. Setting boundaries.
Yeah, setting boundaries is very healthy. And communication is also very healthy. Because as a person or as a couple, no one is going to know your boundaries by just the way you look. So you must sit down, you must discuss that when you're doing certain things, there's a certain level that you cannot cross, you get. But otherwise, if you don't communicate, you're just going to be clashing, you're going to be fighting, you're not going to understand each other literally. So boundaries are very healthy, but there's a question I want to pose to you people.
Yes, please.
As a Christian woman, the Bible demands that you be submissive. So how are you going to have boundaries, yet the Bible expects you to be submissive?
You mean you don't?
I would love to hear you have that discussion over there.
Thank you so much. How can you set the boundaries?
How can you set boundaries and you're supposed to be submissive?
And
how do you not be?
Setting boundaries
and submission are two different things. When the Bible said, a wife, huh? I'm right.
Yes.
Madam. The Bible says, a wife submits to the husband,
and
the husband loves. So you mean if you're loving, you don't have boundaries? If you're loving me, don't you have boundaries?
You have.
As I submit you, I can't have boundaries?
I
do have the boundaries.
Yes.
So there is a difference, caller. There is definitely a difference between boundaries and submitting. When we were talking about the fact that Bakugambio Salembiri, my husband might tell me to cut off my hair when I have no problem with it. You know that is also okay?
Yes.
That I need to Genesis and videos, and maybe I find pride in doing what my husband does, probably desires, or I find pride.
Not because you want to please
not
him.
because I want to please him, but I love it. That is the identity I dwell in, because it's what I have chosen.
Okay, now Genesis, I feel like now this is the thing that we're finding it so hard to say no. I think this is the entire whole thing of we find it so hard
to say
no to particular things because we want to make other people feel comfortable with us around them. That is someone, when you mentioned, if someone came and gotten money from you the first time, they'll come back the second time and you can't say no to them, and you can't tell them, but you know last time you took my money and you didn't pay it back. You can't even have that kind of discussion with those people. So I think the whole thing is us to be able to say no, whether to your husband, whether to your mother,
when
whether
something
to your
is not
friend.
sitting well.
If something is not sitting well with you,
comfortable.
And
you say
I
no.
also think that saying no, I love saying no. Saying no is going to help you create a healthy relationship with someone. Teaching someone that olumungenda gamba nti no. Senti buli kyongamba jagambanga nti yes. It is okay. Actually, even in normal friendships, it is okay it is good to check your waters sometimes and say no. Sometimes when people don't expect you to say no.
And I suppose society has manipulated the no of the women because they keep saying that no yomushali ba yes. And I feel like that's a weird mindset. But if you're a woman and you have to say no, can it sit and it will be a no?
It can sit by you expressing that no, don't just say the no. Say the no and also put it into practice.
Just Antoine.
Now, I want to go back to the caller a little bit. One of our guests that we had a few days ago, she spoke about submission. When she got married to her husband, she was working, she was doing something. But then the husband told her, I don't want you to work. Sagala bakozese. So toddamu genda ku mulimu. Naye namugamba there were some projects that like the family projects. Namugamba now I want you to manage this project. So lekera okuva ku mulimu gye bakozesa, manage this project, and that project could pay her monthly, so she could get something at the end of the day. So submission comes when she accepts to leave her job, but at the end of the day not to just sit home and be there. But also there are men that could give a reason. Nagamba abaana baffe bato omusaala gwo ofuna ssente mmeka tinfune miliyoni emu okay bw'ojjako transport wo n'emmere yo gy'olya nabiki omwezi ofisawo ssente mmeka nti $3,000 nze nja kuwa $3,000 oba nja kuwa akakadde sit down osooka olabirira abaana baffe bakule and you submit noga kantuule ndabirira abaana nga mukyogedde. So submission comes, but it has to be something to discuss. Mukyogerako babiri, so si mateeka nti kakati gwe toddamu kukola lwaki nkugambye toddamu kukola.
Ate nawo omukyala tukyagamba
nawo omukyala bwe bakugamba ekintu ng'owulira toli comfortable, express
Yes.
yourself. Ogambe,
No.
I suggest something. You must have opinions. When someone tells you do this, give them a reason why you wouldn't
cannot
want
do
you
that.
cannot do that.
In a respectful
In a
way.
respectful
the most
way.
politest way ever.
Let me just have these messages. That is from John Fisher. He says it's good to have an open kind of communication because it helps people to be able to get to be aware of the likes and the dislikes of each other party, such that everyone is able to respect them and not to take advantage of someone's silence.
That is true.
Or patience. And also, this other person says that health boundaries are good to be established, but the ones in the relationship must agree for these boundaries to function. I think Win has emphasized that. And then Isaac is like, my money is our money, her money is hers, and ours as a reserve force. Thank you so much, Isaac. I think we're just going to be winding up all this, but personally for me, I would rather adjust my life to your absence than adjusting my boundaries to your disrespect.
Yes.
I would rather adjust my life to your absence because you cannot respect my boundaries. You cannot get to understand that I'm saying, sichagala, than adjusting my boundaries to your disrespect.
Exactly. You see, even God did not impose his will on us. He created us with his image, took his time, namala natuwa will. And then we make decisions, and then after making the decision that we have chosen, we invite him into our boundaries. So how do you fail to create boundaries and allow people to share these beautiful boundaries that
And
you have
God's
set up?
boundaries were also very clear. Adamu ne muchala we bali ekibala. Yalaba ntakyabetaaga, takyasobola kubeera. Okay, this is the last message. This person says, I think that a number of women, I think that a no of a woman is not a yes. Men take it wrongly, and this is Gerard from Muyega. Thank you, Gerard. I'm so glad it's coming from a man. Anyway, this is Arise Woman. We do this every single Friday. Let me have the ladies, each one of us, give us their parting shots as we plan to get off the studio.
Oh, me first. Okay. So boundaries are healthy. And all I can say is that if you're struggling with creating boundaries, in whether you're in your relationships, with your family, with your husband, with your workmates, friends, whatever relationship that you're having, and you feel you're struggling to create boundaries, it simply means you are scared of becoming the kind of person that you are going to be when you start setting those boundaries, and that means you don't have a vision. Every time you have a vision, I'm telling you, you will create the boundaries.
Thank you, Genesis. Ladies.
Yeah, to the ladies still, when you set boundaries, try to follow your boundaries. You know, don't differ from them, don't compromise. And it's okay to say no, because when you say no, it is not like you're being mean or something, but it's okay to say no to something you are not comfortable with.
Thank you, Mercy. Winnie.
Yes, I will also appeal to the beautiful ladies out there. Now, I know society, culture has taught us to be, to be the yes kind of people. Omusajja tebamuddamu, omusajja kino, omusajja kiri. Yes, it is good, but at the end of the day, it is very important to live a happy life. Sometimes when you say yes to everything, you tend to be nga bakunyigiriza. Bituuka ne bitama. So I urge you, ladies, when you're still having a fresh relationship or maybe a friendship, n'emikwano gy'abawala gifa nnyo olw'ebintu ebyo, we don't set boundaries. Nowekanga oli atuta akateteeko n'atakazza kale ne bibeera we bitanye. But it is good to talk about these things. Always talk about this when you've just met somebody, whether it is your girlfriend, whether it is a boyfriend, whether it is your sister. Learn to talk about things and to say no, but with an explanation. Temubeera babayita batya bakyewaggula.
Thank you so much. I think really it's very, very important to say no when you want to say no, and mean it. And if you feel like you're not comfortable with something, you do not have to entertain it. And you can say no without giving anyone any explanation. You can say no without explaining yourself to anyone. Oli bwagamba ntukole kino, you can say no nga tomunyonyodde nti sikyagala lwakuba bwekiti ne bweki. So don't make people feel entitled to you giving them an explanation all the time. Say no, and then they'll respect that. That's if they're also mature enough to respect people's boundaries. It is Arise Woman every single Friday 8 to 9 p.m. My name is Gifty Nakainga. Been with a beautiful Genesis, Mercy and Winnie. Till next Friday, have a good night.